Welcome back to the Nothing to Something podcast. This is the podcast that's been put together as a platform to share real stories from real people, showcasing their journeys towards success and all the struggles involved along the way. Now, before we move forward, please click subscribe on whichever platform you're listening on. This will provide you with all the top draw content and keep me pushing to produce it. Now, this week's guest is someone who has completely turned their life around. Someone who's been through major struggles in the past, including time in jail, and is now supporting others in creating a better future for themselves. Please welcome to the podcast, coach and mentor, Brad Walker. Brad, welcome to the podcast.
Hi mate, you okay? How are things?
Very, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
No, nice one. Thanks a lot for coming on. I'm excited by this. It's going to be different. It's going to be very different to some of the ones we've done previously, but it's going to be very powerful. It's something that resonates with me massively. I can relate to your story a lot. We've had a discussion before coming on, obviously today, and there's a lot of relatables in there, and it's wholesome as hell what you're doing and the way that you're giving back. So I think there's a hell of a lot of takeaways in here, and people will see exactly what I'm talking about as we start to get into the conversation here. So before we get started, Brad, do you want to just talk us through yourself a little bit of an introduction, who you are?
Yeah, okay, so I'm Brad. I'm from Cheetah and basically my day-to-day life, obviously I do mentoring with kids in school, and also I do personal training with a whole range of clients. So most days, that's probably the two things that I do on a week-to-week basis. And obviously I enjoy it. So yeah.
Good stuff, good stuff. And the intriguing part there, for the most part, is this mentoring in schools. Because if we'd have looked back to when you were at school age, you couldn't have seen that coming. Am I right in saying that?
100%. I think it's something that fell into my lap. So it weren't something that obviously when I come home from jail, it weren't something that I planned to do. It weren't part of my vision, and it was something that probably a teacher approached me on and said, would you be interested? Would you like this?" So obviously, as I thought about, spoke to the people that probably I value the most, got some feedback in terms of my pluses and minuses, negatives, and went with it from there. To be fair, so I'm happy with it. I enjoy it.
Amazing, amazing. Right, Brad, let's before we get into that, mate, let's jump all the way back to the start. Talk us through your childhood, mate. Talk us through childhood upbringing. How was things for you?
So I'd say childhood for me is probably the same as probably majority of people that's from the same cloth as myself. So when I say the same cloth, I say similar background. So obviously I'm from Cheetah Mill. Everybody knows where it is in terms of, I won't say it's a prize, but for me it's the norm. So obviously it'll be like, it's a bit wild. There's naughty people there, but that's my surrounding. It's my safe zone. So my upbringing, obviously, I had two parents. One worked. One was heavily involved in crime. So I come from a mixed kind of upbringing. Is it something I'm ashamed of? Not really, because probably it shapes me into who I am today. Yes, it has its plus and its minuses, but that's my upbringing. My dad was involved in crime. So from a young age, I say with him, I've just been visiting jails up and down the country on a weekend. Obviously, my mum worked hard. Yes, my mum went through the system herself, so it's something that I've been involved in around the police and crime from a very young age. Growing up, I'd say I spent a lot of time with my nana, at my nana's. So it was something that I'd say my upbringing hasn't been the best, but is it something that maybe I'm ashamed of? Not really, but if it's something that I look back on, yes, I'll 100% change it. Is it something I want for my daughter? No chance. So it's got its plus and its minuses, and it's got something for me where I am who I am, and I've got my survival skills from it. Yes, my mindset's slightly different to the rest, but it is what it is. They're the cards that I've been dealt with, and it's the cards that I've had to deal with, and it's the cards that I've had to go forward with in life.
And it's clear that you've come to that acceptance now of that being the case. But I say a lot. Anyone who listens to the podcast will hear me say a lot. Strength through struggle, and it's clear that you've taken a hell of a lot of strength through the things that you've been given. Through the experience that you've had to date in life. Credit to you. because we're here today.
Thank
You're
you.
making a difference in the world. We're going to get into the detail in that in a little bit, but credit to you and what you've done. How was the sort of education side? Did you finish school?
Education, school. So for school, for me, it wasn't a place that I enjoyed. It was a school that I appreciate and I went to. I knew my strengths and minuses. So for me, I'm not. I'd say it with chest, and I'll say it to this day, I'm not the best in terms of education, educational wise. I'm not the best, but put me in sport, I'm coming out the best. And I knew that was my route out in life from early age. That I wasn't academically the best. Struggle sometimes today in terms of I need work doing with, say, my Instagram, my messages, and my emails. I'll write it and I'll ask someone to help us to edit it, make it make sense, and that kind of thing. So I knew from that's not my strength, but put me in sport. I have a mindset where I'll compete with anyone. I don't care what level you are. We will compete, and I knew it from young. So I knew that from probably year 3 in juniors that I weren't the best, but come to sport, I'm competing with the best. Like that's my mindset, and it probably still is today. That I knew sport was my way out. I didn't like school, hate being behind a desk. I felt trapped, and I didn't like it, but I enjoyed going to school. I just hated the classroom, being sat behind a desk. And yeah, to this day, it's probably the same as well. I don't like to be behind a desk. It's probably the reason why I'm in the job that I'm in today.
Mm. No, I get that. I get that. Do you think you took a lot away from it though? Even with that being said, you didn't like the
School,
classroom environment. Yeah. Do you think you took a lot away from school?
yes, I took a lot away from school because I learned certain things in terms of, for me, it was maths and English was key. Enjoyed geography, PE, 100%. I enjoyed that. So I did take things away, but there's many things that I didn't like about it. But it's part and part of growing up in life that you have to go and
Mm.
get education because education's key. And as I look back now, 100% I wish I went back to school because what I know now in life, I didn't know then. And I would like to put that right. And maybe my job, I would have started a lot sooner. So in that aspect, yes, I've got regret going in school.
Mm. I'm with you. I'm with you. Again, that self-awareness though, understanding of what needed to happen and putting things into place right now. So coming on leaps and bounds, mate. Credit to you. So moving away from school a little bit further away from a bit further along your journey. What was it like? What was your environment like? You talked a little bit about Cheetah Mill there. How did you
So, my,
try fill in that gap for us, Brad, between leaving school,
yeah,
kind of doing roads, if that's the way the kids want to put it nowadays.
yeah.
I'm getting on a little bit myself, and the point at which you went to jail. What happened in that
So,
period?
so when I left school, I went to a college called Hotwood Hall. Probably the best, I would say, the Northwest best college. It suited me down to a T, tick my boxes. So I left school. First year I went there. I went to study BTEC in sport and a football academy. So obviously you had to set a trial. So I got on there. It was good. My mum was happy that obviously I was taking this route in sport, even though at the time there was a lot of turmoil at home in terms of my dad was in and around, he was creating havoc in whatever he was doing. But my mum was trying to guide me away from that because you come to treatment at that time, people was out there selling drugs, crime was happening, it was rife when I was 16, 17. So my mum was happy in that aspect that, like, listen, I've pushed him into college, his head's focused, that's his route out. Went to college. It was good. Met some people that I probably talk to today and value very highly today. And I was there first year. Got kicked out after 6 months. So I went there, got involved in something. I say at the time wasn't my issue, but for me, if you're my friend, you're my friend. I'm not going to let no one try and bully you. Like it's just how I've been brought up in terms of stick together. Don't abandon no one. Don't leave no one out. So at this one time, my friend was getting bullied. And I got involved and told the guy, leave him alone. And the guy said something to me. And from there, escalated. So the next day, coming to college, and I started a full on riot in the canteen. I look back, it was dangerous. Weren't a pretty sight. And at these times as well, I was on trial at Accrington. On the same day the riot happened, I had a cup game against Burnley, a game that obviously he told me 2 days before. He said, make sure you switched on, you're starting. This is your chance now to take it because obviously you've been on the bench, you've been coming on doing well. This is your time. Me, probably as a kid, I didn't take nothing serious. It was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And that's a wake up call to most people. To me, it was like, yeah, it is what it is. So again, the riot happened. I got arrested. Got arrested at the college. Took to the police station. Told the guy I've got a big game tonight. I need to be out at a certain time. And the guys laughed at us. It's just like, what world are you living in, mate? You've just started a riot. So I was like, okay, I have, but this is an opportunity. And the guy said to me, like, the police officer at the time, I remember it clear as day, said, an opportunity. But you started a riot, didn't you? You should have thought the first time round, not now because you're here and you're thinking we could do you a favour. So that was a wake up call. Missed the game. As you know yourself, the conversation probably with the marriage didn't go down well. So then that was that. So then I had to restart the year again. 6 months later, they let me back in. Finished the year, and I just dropped out of college. Then I was just like, okay, this is it's done. My time's done. I didn't know what route to take. Where'd you go from there? And then at these times, I was getting more and more involved in crime. I was interested in it. Regardless, I'll tell everybody now, and probably to this day, that I wanted to do something massive in sport. I believed that I could do something massive in sport, and I failed. If truth be told, I failed because I had older peers probably saying to me, Brad, there's no need for you to be here, stay away. You can do something in sport, you like don't get caught in a trap. If you're in and around, don't get involved, just go away, do what you need to do.
Okay, so
A
you
lot,
did have them figures around you, mentor
yeah, a
figures that
lot
were
of
trying to
people
put
at
you
the
straight.
time. Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people at the time were telling me stay away, stay focused. You've got something about you because it was known in the area that I was involved in sport. I was playing sport on a regular, and so they was trying to push me out, but it got to a point where I just wanted to make money, and it was probably many people say is that it's the norm to make money. It's like that's, and it wasn't until like I say later on in life where I am now. It's not normal that life, and obviously I have a saying now that I say short steps, long vision. There was no long vision then. It's as a kid, them times you think about now. Weekend, am I going out to town? I need to
Mm.
earn money now, and there was no purpose. My purpose was my long vision as well was sport, be patience, and probably I'd probably see obviously the people that are around us in terms of my dad. He was committing crime, so in my eyes, I'm like the people that probably I look up to doesn't work but are earning lots of money. So how can, say for example, at the time my mum was saying to me, "You need to get a job," and I would turn around and say, "No, I'm not getting a job." Mum said, "But how are you going to get money?" So I said, "Well, he's getting money. He doesn't work." So I'd probably say from a young age, I was exposed way
Mm.
too early. And then when it got to like the age of 18, I've seen too much, way too much that it's hard now for them to try, not hard, but it's hard for them to try and budge with us because I've seen what I've seen. I've been on the journey from a kid involved in jails, and both parents have been. So then I get it. My mum wanted the best for me and not the life that probably she had. But then, if that was the case, then I shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have seen it. I should have been took well away from it.
Mm.
So I don't want to try and put it like it's their fault because at that time you know right and wrong, and that's the main thing in it. And yes, the journey started from there. I got heavily involved, and then before you know it, I was taking bigger risks until the day come on. It was the day to go to jail.
Mate, powerful, powerful. So much of that's relatable. Growing up in South Manchester where I grew up, it wasn't probably until similar to yourself until I kind of got away from that street life and the peer groups that I was hanging around with
Mm,
and really hit home where my fiance, who I've been with now
yeah,
for 7 years, is from not far away, but from a different world, as I
yeah,
would put it. She went to a grammar school. She's quite well off growing up, etc. And when I get together with old peers and we tell stories about old times, the
mm,
looks and the shock,
yeah,
it's like something out of a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like people don't understand these are the things that happen in real life. A lot of empathy with you there, especially at
mm,
them sort of ages. Yes, we are at an age, and the kids nowadays are at an age where people will say they're half grown, they can make their own decisions, but when you have got that exposure to certain things, and that's what you know,
yeah.
you can't be what you can't see, is the saying, isn't it? So if we've not got those peer groups and those people who run the straight and narrow and getting somewhere, then it is difficult. Powerful, mate. Very, very powerful, Brandon.
I
Thanks
think
for the honesty there and opening up to us as well.
I think that's key. Obviously, that's part of accountability as well. To be honest, is that like, listen, you made mistakes. You know, I say to some people now is that you probably knew me back then, but you don't know me now. I've been on a journey, and it's the journey from probably I left college. The journey that I was probably on a journey in terms of where I was just in and out of jail, and the journey that I'm on now. There's three different people, and I feel like it's probably a stigma of what I try to say to the kids is that what you do now is always going to be there later on in life. You can't change some people's opinion. But if you can change one person's opinion that, look, we all make mistakes, we all do things that we're not proud of, but it's how you rectify it, how you lead your life now, because we've all been young, we've all been daft, we've all been silly. But as growing into an adult, there's no more excuses, because you should know now that what you've done now is not acceptable now. And probably that's probably the mindset that I try and lead now and try and give as much advice in, is that yes, I was exposed to a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of stuff myself that probably I've been proud of, but it's what I am doing now as a man that counts the most.
No, with you. Powerful, Brad. Powerful. And we'll transfer that into the mentoring in a second because I know that's a powerful message, setting the right foundations for the youth of today. Just talk us a little bit through jail, mate.
So jail for me, like again, I go back to it and say it's something that I've been involved in from primary school. So it's a journey that probably I'd say it's probably a journey that probably it was going to happen because I've been involved in it from young. Yes, I've been in, my little brother's in at the moment. So it's something that it's always been around us. Prison for me, it was scarce from people, and I'm being genuinely honest. Like I've seen people that probably had a name for themselves, probably feared, and you go to jail where you have zero control. You're not controlling nothing. The only thing you're in control of is things that are in your cell. There's no control in terms of going to get your food at the canteen. There's no control over your healthcare appointment if you want to go see the dentist or you need tablets. There's no control over nothing. And if you can't have the mindset to let control go, you're going to struggle because you're in control of nothing. There's no real. It's just helpless. That guy that probably maybe on the outside world you don't fear or value is now in control of your life. So if you think that you go to jail, you can beat the system can never be broken. It's been there for years, and I've seen people with probably the biggest name on the road go to jail and he's struggling. Is that the hatch getting depressant tablets, and you're like thinking this guy had something about him, but we're in a situation now where everyone's the same. No one's better than the other person. Everyone's on the same level in terms of we're all here, we're all criminals. Regardless if you're a shoplifter to a murderer, there is no difference because you're all going to get treated the same. Yes, you're going to have a little bit more respect on other people, but there's no difference. So jail for me was a mindset thing. Can I switch off from home? Can I sort myself out? Can I think about me? And not worry about home, because I think some people struggle with that, being closed away from family, from friends, and some people don't make it. So my mindset was I have to come out the same way I went in, and the only thing I hoped was that I had no deaths and everybody when I come home was healthy. Yes, I seen some things in jail that was quite bad. It would shake some people up. But jail's a waste of time, and that's the biggest message that needs to be told. That you get no ratings for going for jail. Like at the time, yeah, when you're young, oh yeah, he's in jail, he's doing on his thing. But let's be honest, as men, there's no ratings. I look back now in life and say you're a mug. You wasted time you'll never get back. But it's a time at that moment that I'm having to deal with. It's a journey that I'm on, and I'll hit it head on and come out hopefully the best version of me. So jail's a waste of time you'll never get back, time wasted, and depending where you are, and probably how you are as a person is depending on how smooth your journey will go. Because if you're a guy that likes to bully people, your time's not going to last. If you're a person that gets on with everybody, your time's easier. If you're a person that just wants to keep your head down, you can do. But also, if you're a person that want to better yourself, there is. And it's about, I think, it's about concentrating on you, because there's only you who's going to get out of this. Everyone's got their own jail to do, regardless if that's 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 15 years. Everyone has to do their own jail on their own. So, yeah, jail is a place where I wouldn't recommend to no one, because it's a lonely time.
It's
It's a very, very lonely time.
powerful, mate. That is mega powerful, and I can only imagine what the kids and the mentorees that you're going into schools to speak to are taking from conversations like that, especially when they're headed along that path. All the way back to the start there, Brad, would you say around the peer groups you were around, the surroundings you had, the environment, and the fact you were going on visits and that sort of thing before you went to jail, was there almost an expectation there that you would do sometime? I know growing up in my own circles and doing visits and all my friends I went to school with and grew up around, everyone seemed to have done some time or was on the verge of doing something. Was it an expectation, sort of subconsciously?
I think, looking back now, I used to walk. This is crazy. I used to walk past strangeways as a kid. I used to obviously go on walks, little walks with my nana, and obviously going older and older. And I used to look at strangeways walking past after coming shopping from town, because obviously cheating on the town's on the doorstep.
Mm,
And I used to look at the jail from obviously Beverly Roadside and think, one day I'm going to be in there. Like, I just, in my mind, I just knew that one day I'm going to be in this place. And I was, it was not something like I'd turn around and say to everybody, I'm going to jail, like something to boast about. But in my mind,
mm.
subconsciously, I'd be like, one day I'm going to go there, because the things that I was doing come with a jail sentence. There is none of this
Yeah, it's crazy,
community service.
crazy, and
There's
it's
none of
sad.
this.
It's sad for the youth. Isn't it? What sort of age were you
I
when we're
first
talking
went to
about?
jail was, I think it was about 2011, for drugs. Obviously, I got caught on an operation. So I went to jail. No bail, no nothing, straight to jail. Probably just the clothes that I had on my back. No, I don't think I had a pound in my pocket. Like, just come straight to police station, court, bang, jail, deal with it. As quick as that. So it was, yeah, jail first time was crazy, because you don't know what to expect. And for me, I knew it'd be okay, because obviously it's my doorstep, it's my local. I knew many people anyway. But I don't like the unknown. That's probably my weakness. My strength is being able to adapt to any situation, as long as I know what I'm up against. So for me, I'm going in the unknown, the dark. It's this place, don't know what to expect. And I say this all the time, is there's a massive difference between sitting on a visit and being in jail and coming on a visit. Does that make sense?
Mm,
Because it's two different feelings. And like I say to people that obviously we sit down, talk about times in jail, my friends that have been, and the ones who haven't can't vision that vision, what's on the opposite side of the wall, because it's two different worlds in terms
mm.
of the outside and the inside. And this is why my main thing for me was, when I go, is that I'm on the inside now, forget the outside world, because it's not, you're not in control of it. You can't touch it, and everything that happens in here you can control to a certain extent. So for me, that was how my mind worked with it. But yeah, it was two different experiences, totally different.
Nice one. Thanks for the honesty there, mate. And there's some messages there. Trust me, for these youths. Just before we move away from the jail thing, Brad. Obviously, nobody wants to go there. It's never planned. Would you say
Mm.
coming out the other side, it improved you as a person?
I think my last sentence did. I think the first two, the first one, you come out with a chip on your shoulder, because yes, I've been to jail, I've handled it. Like, I want a little bit of ratings now, because anyone who's been to jail is meant to be that person. But as I look back now, you're a mug. Like, let's be honest, you're a mug. You went jail. Like, there's no ratings, no certificate, no medal for it. Like, so the first time I didn't learn my lesson, because I went back again. Second time I was a little bit further afield, so now I were local. I spent a lot of time away from Manchester, so I was like in places like Leeds, Newcastle, Middlesbrough, and they're different places. Like, they're 100% different places in terms of you're dealing now with different minds. Yes, there was racists, so there's another angle you're having to deal with, and the way how people refer to people in terms of colour. Yeah, so you're around people now, not in your own city. So in different cities, people move different and act different. So you're having to adjust to one way fit in where you are, but also trying to be honest and as real as yourself because now you're not home, so it's a different ball game. So yeah, it was different them times. But my
I'm
last
with you.
time, I'd say I learned the biggest lesson, and it's probably where the penny did drop on my last sentence.
Okay,
So
okay, and
yeah,
that was my next point. Really, was there a specific turning point in your life? Because, as I said earlier on, Wholesome is Health. It's a great mission that you're on now, with the mentoring stuff that you're doing. Was there a turning point? Do you think your last time in jail contributed towards that mindset shift and wanting to give back and improve other people's lives?
yeah, 100% because 2018, that's when the last time I went to jail. And it was a time where I had a lot of turmoil around us. I was in a dark place, had nothing to lose. Before then, I used to work at Hale Country Club. I was flying, and I've probably from there in my life, I'd say, done a total 360. I had a kid on the way, wasn't really talking much to family. So I had a mindset where I'm going to do me. Whatever happens to me is going to happen to me. Like I'm not bothered. Went to jail, and I had a lot of hurt, anger, dark times all in one place. And for me to get better, I needed to let go. But as the time that was happening from Hale Country Club to obviously I went to jail in a space of like 16 to 18 months, a lot had happened. But as I was trying to move forward with my life, I couldn't break it. Like I was too hurt, had stuff on my mind. I was virtually homeless because obviously I lost my house from the repercussions. Obviously, what happened in Hale, and then I went to jail. And I think probably the last sentence was a massive thing, a massive turning point. Is because I started off in strange ways, and I was in. Everyone was in jail at this time, so I had a lot of friends in there, and for me, it was I knew I had something to give in life. I knew I had something to achieve in life, and the penny dropped. So it was like my brother was in there as well. He was giving me my anxiety was just going through the roof because he was in there, totally younger. His antics were mad. So I'm like, if I don't break the cycle now and think of me, I'm going to be here for a lot longer than I need to be. So one day I just went to the office. I said, listen, I need out. Your jail don't offer me nothing. I've got these qualifications. You got me in a workshop that I don't want to be there. I said, I need out your jail. So he said, where do you want to go? I said, just get me anywhere. Take me anywhere, I'll go. Get me out of Manchester, I'll go. So he said there was a bus to Wales in the morning on Thursday. So I was like, all right, cool, get me on there. I'm happy, I'll go there. He said, you want to go all the way down there? I said, get me on the bus. I'm not bored. Like, because jail is always going to be jail. You're always going to be locked behind that door. So there's no difference where you go. It's about mindset. So I said, yeah, I'm going. Get me on the bus. So he said, all right, cool, you can go. So I went down there, this jail at Berwyn, brand new it was, and the vibe was just different. I was away from everyone. Don't get me wrong, there's people from Manchester there, but there wasn't as much as what there was in obviously when I was in Strangeways. A lot of people was in there from who I grown up with. I had a lot of friends on there, all on one wing. So if I'm honest, I'm brutally honest, it was like a youth club because you're with friends from young. All these are men now, so it's not really jail. But I needed to break and change for me. So I got out. So I went back to Berwyn, went there, and they had a lot of courses on. So they had some gym courses, they had a university course, they had some good workshops. And I feel that place was for me. So I went there on my own, didn't really know no one. So really, I could only concentrate on me. Obviously, my kid was getting older. So at that time, she was 6 months when I first went to jail. So when I come home, I knew she'd be 2, nearly 3. So I had to change and accept now I've got a kid. I now have to be a dad because do I want my daughter going through what I went through as a kid? No chance. Traveling up and down the motorway visiting me over me being selfish. So also that's another thing that I had to think of. So for me to get better, I had to get away from everyone and come out in a clear mind. So I was there doing courses, and then I applied onto a university course, just an introduction. I can't remember what it was. It's something to do with sport, but I got on it anyway. Done it, passed it, and the woman said, "This is something that maybe you can carry on when you're home, or you can start next year. There's funding, so try getting funding for them." Couldn't get it, so that this time I just sat and I thought to myself, "What do you want to do when you come home?" So it's starting to plan, and then someone spoke to me. The gym staff spoke to me and said, "You've got level 3. Why don't you do level 4 strength and conditioning?" So obviously I asked him questions in terms of what can I do with that, where can I go with that, and he said you can train with athletes, your strength and conditioning coach, so your next level up. So I went back to my pad because it was all single cells then. So I got on the phone. I spoke to my kid's mum at the time. I said, "Can you look this up? Send me as much information as possible. Send it to us." So she done that, and then I booked onto a course. So the course I was due out in 2020 in the February. There was a course in February 2 weeks later. So that cost £1,300 to book it, sort it out. I'm doing that course. So then when I come home, I only had a week to chill. So people that I wanted to spend the time with, I went and seen them. Next week, my head's in the game to finger. But then also what I'd done in the time then, obviously I was in jail. People that had around us, like a lot of friends, they weren't there. So for me, which I learned, and probably the biggest lesson is that sometimes it's the people that you don't expect to step up to the plate are the ones that do. The ones that are with you through the good times and you're trying to be that guy in town, they're not really friends, they're the good time people. And I think in life, you'll always come across them people, but the ones that value you, the ones that will tell you about yourself, that listen, you're wrong, you're better than this, they're your real friends. So I dropped a lot of friends out. I only have a small circle now, so when I come home, my head's on the game. I can change, and I know, and I still believe to this day, I've got something to give in life and something to achieve that I can look back and say, okay, I wasn't the best in school. I wasn't the best when I left school, but what I am now is totally different. And it's probably the mindset and the strongest mindset that I've got is that when the chips are down, like I know I'll get through it and I will deal with the situation, whatever comes my way, I will deal with it. And it's probably trying to be relentless, regardless what it is. And I'd say that's probably one of my other big stresses: being relentless and trying to get to the end goal as much as possible.
Mate, I love it. Love it. I'm a big one on, we're first and foremost, we're very similar in that we love to support others, the coaching and mentoring and different facets. I'm also a big one on self-love, self-praise. Don't do it enough myself. I'm my own worst critic, but every now and then it's periodically it's good to look back and think, right, here's what I've achieved, here's how far I've come. Off
Mm.
what you've just talked about there for the past couple of minutes, you've made some major decisions off your own back, moving away from Manchester to go to a different jail, to get out of that environment, to be on your own, which a lot of people definitely wouldn't do.
Mm.
Um, Choosing to go on the course as soon as you're out, didn't have time to get back into any sort of nonsense because straight away you were busy. There's been some major decisions you've made that have obviously contributed to the person that you've become now. That is,
100%.
it's evident that you've moved in the right direction compared to the earlier part of your story there.
Mm.
We're making waves. Certainly making waves there.
I think it's also trying to, for me now, like, I used to walk around with emotion, keep everything in. I'm big, I'm strong. I go to the gym, I can do this, I can run, I can do that. And it's keeping all that emotion in. So now, probably what the biggest thing I'm aware of is that when I'm struggling to speak, tell people how you feel, regardless if you're looking vulnerable and you're looking weak, speak about it because I feel that the things that I went through, because I went through a lot of dark times, some stuff that I've not really touched on, is that I dealt with a lot myself rather than speaking. And yes, I go counselling now, which has helped massively, and I'm still in counselling. But I think that if I spoke a lot more, some stuff that would have happened, I would have got help with. But because I'm a person with pride, I want to do everything myself. That's sometimes I think I've hit a brick wall through that.
Mm,
Rather than talking about my issues, my behaviour, how I see people. And I think that also, I think some of it's come from people that are probably valued, probably shit on us.
mm,
And it was only there probably because I was a guy from Cheetah Mill, had a bit of pull, had people around us, and it was again the term of good, just the good times. When it comes to bad times, these people weren't there for me, and it's probably something that I've learned now is that if I'm struggling to this day, I'll speak up, I'll speak to my missus, I'll speak to my friends, and I'll say, listen, this is how I'm feeling. Even if I'm feeling a bit ropey or a bit down, or I'm unsure about something to speak up, because a guy who's silent is never going to get heard.
100%. 100%. I'm with you. I'm with you. Share that load, man. Major message there. Right. Let's move on to the brands, onto the business, on
Okay.
to your mentoring, because we've spoke about this previously, and wholesome as health, as I touched on at the start of the podcast. It's absolutely top drawer, mate. Coming from where we come from, and you expressing the things that you've been through, the experiences that you've had to date, for you to be now giving back and supporting the youth in making their future as bright as possible, it is absolutely mega. So yeah, talk us through the brand and talk through the business.
So I have two brands. One obviously is Brad Performance Coach. That's my fitness. I've helped many people. I've worked alongside Wayne Richardson, who I've seen that you had on the show. So I started off there. That started up with Wayne when I first come out. Obviously, Joe Thompson put me in touch with Wayne, and also my cousin used to play with Wayne. So them two come to Wayne, spoke, said, "I've got a guy just come out of jail. He just wants to come and have a look down and look at what you do. If it's something for him, he's going to do himself, but also to have a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of information." So I worked alongside with Wayne for a little bit, which was good. Enjoyed my time, and probably I'll say that Wayne gave me the biggest lesson. At the time, I didn't like it, but probably a biggest lesson in terms of, I'm not here to hold your hand. Now it's time for you to make your journey, um, and do what you want to do, your strength, find out who you are and go with it. So I left Wayne, started to do a little bit of PTing. I got a job delivering cars up and down the country. At first it was a buzz, but at the end I hated it. It's not me, it's not my strength. So then I started to apply for fitness jobs, got a fitness job, started my journey in there, and I started to feel myself, started to grow, started to focus on me, training different kinds of people, old, young, middle age, my age, for all kind of different aims and targets that they wanted, but also trying to make a difference to them, and also try and get the best version out in them, if that makes sense. So I had people like businesses, people that are probably in college, people that are probably in work. So even though I'm trying to help them, I'm also learning from some of them in skills that I didn't really have. So it was a two-way thing. So they might not have seen it, but I was learning on the job in terms of mindset, business, and certain different things like credit, because I didn't know what credit was as a kid. Credit as a kid for me, it was like, what's that? So even though some people have been successful in their own role, their jobs, I was learning. And sometimes there's no better experience than learning from people that have been through it. You can do as many courses as you want, but there's nothing like a real life experience, and you can't pay for that. So obviously my mindset was changing alongside that, enjoying it, still doing it to this day. So that's Brad Performance Coach. And then a teacher approached me one day, just in the middle of the street, said, "Hi Brad, you alright?" So I said, "It's good," talking to him, asking about my life, told him to come out of jail. They were telling me that now they're a teacher in school, and it was just flowing. The conversation was flowing, and he says, "Right, have you ever thought of mentoring?" So I was like, "Not really, because mentoring probably like we'll relate to back in the day. It was youth club. It was the older man on the estate in there trying to sell you drugs or trying to corrupt you in some type of way." And I was like, "Not really, because I've been through it, I've seen it. Like, I'm not that guy." So then he said, "Yeah, but you have so much to give, so much experience. You've been through a lot." So then I spoke to someone like Sean Sherwood about it. I know he's doing his thing right now, which he's flying in. And he says, "Brad, go for it. Like, look what you've done. This is what I'm doing. And you've got more experience than what you've been through." And a lot of kids, how we look in society now, will be able to relate to it. And that's probably a message as well that I say to obviously the teachers, that it's hard for you to engage with the kids unless you've been through it yourself, because it's okay because you work now, but unless you come from the rough and you could be able to walk in that kid's shoes, which I feel I can, you're never going to be able to relate. So then on the other side of it, that's where Brad mentoring coach comes from. So they're going to schools. I've been to some homes. I'm in a PRU, which is a behaviour unit at the moment, and it's a challenge because every kid's different. But it's a challenge that for me is about giving back, because if I feel I had these mentors in place now, then maybe the route probably would have been totally different for me. So for me, can I go into school and try and change one person in a group? I'll try my best, and I believe I will do. For example, I had a kid in our ladies, and we're sitting talking one week. It was about county lines. County lines, obviously, for the people that don't know, is the people that have travelled from their own city to a different city selling drugs. It's a thing. It's a place where you're not guaranteed to return home. It's a dangerous place. There's many people that are still there. So there was a kid in there, and he just said it as open and honest. Said, "Listen, my upbringing is not the best. Pay me any money, I'll do whatever you want to do." And it just screamed alarm bells. And when I finished, I said to the teacher, "Make sure this kid comes to every lesson. Keep me updated with this kid. I can get through to this kid." So sometimes when kids were asking questions, I would indirect it to him, so the kid that was listening get my message through to him, even though the other person was answering it. So weeks and weeks were going by. See a change in this kid. I knew I'm getting through for him. So after the lesson, I used to spend a little bit of time with him, talk to him, how's things at home, say that he was struggling. Parents probably not the best. So I told him my experience. I said, like, you don't want to be like me. Like, I'm an idiot. I'm in here now telling you a story, but I'm an idiot because I failed. But I don't want you to fail. So I started to put a little bit of belief into him. Then we come round to a week where it was about accountability, career choice. So bearing in mind, this kid has said on one of the weeks, "Pay me anything, I will do anything to anyone, do anything you need me to do." So now we're on a career choice, accountability. And the kid's put his hand up. He says, "I want to know how to go to college or university when I leave school." So then I started to smile. I felt happy because I got through to the kid that the kid in the room was saying with chest, "Pay me anything, I'll do anything to anybody." That now he's starting to look at his life, and the message that I was giving week after week is getting through, which the teacher was happy about. And to this day, I still do work in the school.
Do you know what, mate? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've got goosebumps. Got
Quite
goosebumps,
serious.
mate. That is powerful, and that is priceless. You can't even put a price on that. For potentially a kid that could have been going a route that you've gone, even worse,
Mm,
to then be flipping it around over the course of a matter of months, to be looking at what his future looks like and weighing up different things. Priceless, absolutely priceless. So that is absolutely major. Credit, mate. Credit where credit's due.
thanks.
What's the plan for it, for the mentoring side now? Where do you
So
see it going in the future?
the mentor is carrying the message because the message is powerful. The message is obviously for me, try not to be like Brad, be better than Brad because Brad messed up. So trying to go in as many schools as possible, up and down the country. I'm in talks with somebody in London at the moment to try and go in there, do some work, and try and deliver as many workshops as possible in terms of every kid in every city, regardless of your upbringing, your scenario that you're in. This you can still make it out. You can still do something with your life. Yes, your situation right now isn't the best, but mine wasn't the best. And I've only got to where I've got through now from having probably good people around us. Probably my missus is probably one of the biggest, but also having other good people around us to tell me that, listen, put belief in me. So if people put belief in me, I need to put belief in these young kids because they're starting a lot sooner than me. And what there is there now in terms of life now, there wasn't back then. So can I still go in schools, deliver the message, put belief in these kids that yes, I've seen my mum and dad fighting. Yes, I've seen my mum and dad gone to jail. I've seen people on my street selling drugs. I've seen people get stabbed. I've seen it all, been there, done it, been around it. So, but I've come out the other side through my own experience, through my own journey. And if I can still go in schools, deliver as much messages as possible. Don't get me wrong, it's hard because not many schools want you in. Some schools just want results, and this is where I have to keep fighting it and keep pushing forward and not giving up and being relentless because there's kids out there that are in difficult situations. But does that mean that their life is crime? No, it doesn't. So it's important you get people like me in and other people that are out here doing their good thing for the community, for kids that are in similar backgrounds than us and have the same upbringing. Is that let us get in with these kids because it's okay the teachers teaching what they have to teach, correct? But when they go home, their life is totally different to the majority of these kids. So I need to carry on with my message, getting it in there, and trying. I'm on hours now, so my problem, my aim long term is to get days. come September, I'm going to start applying for days. Give me
Yeah.
more time with these
Hmm.
kids because for me, I knew sport was my route, but how many of these other kids know what their route out is? And it's important that schools don't close the door on people like me
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, every kid should have the best chance possible to have a very good life. And I feel that jail and crime isn't a good life because there's no certificate at the end of it. There's no medal for that life. It's a life that's wasted and time that you will never get back. So yeah, that's how I try. That's my message.
Powerful, 100%. Stay relentless with it, mate. Whatever you do, stay relentless with it because it is needed. It's crazy to hear that you're still getting some pushback and not all the schools want you in there,
Mm,
especially schools within certain areas geographically where we know that the crime rates are higher and the kids are impressionable to certain things. So keep
yeah.
pushing, keep doing your thing, keep doing your thing with it. Um, Being in the position you're in now and in such an is having such an impression on these kids that you're touching base with in these mentoring type relationships. Give us some takeaways. So if any of these kids are listening or the parents are listening now, give us three top tips you say. What would you say are the fundamentals that they need to be thinking about or taking care of?
Number one, believe in yourself that regardless of the what you're up against now, there's always a route out. Um, Never stop believing because it might be not your time now, but later down the line, your time will come. And then when that time comes, grab it with two hands because remember, you've suffered. Now it's not your time to suffer. Now it's your time to grow. So I'll probably say that's number one. Number two, I'd say be selfish. Something that probably people from our neck of the woods are not selfish enough because they don't want to look the weak one. They don't want to be the one that's left out. But be selfish and thinking about you first and your needs is only going to get you where you need to get to. And the third one I'd probably say is I say never stop believing. Never ever stop believing. Even when the chips are down and you're getting pushed down, knocked back, rejected, never stop believing because one day that door will open. Just keep banging down doors, making as much noise as possible, and be aware of who you got around you because not everyone's always around you for that purpose of seeing you do well. So yeah, that's what I'll say. Keep believing, keep focused, keep in your own lane, keep smashing down those doors, and never stop believing. Just be relentless. But
Brilliant.
also, the people who you have around you, if they bring nothing to your table, they have to go.
Mm,
They have to go. And it's
I hear
also,
you.
selfishness. It's just being selfish and doing you first because only one person can make it. So it's your life, your story.
Mega. Mega. Some great takeaways there, mate. Right. What's your why, Brad? I talk about this every time I'm on the podcast, regardless of who the guest is and what is their specialty area. I'm huge on why. What keeps you pushing forward on a day to day? You've talked about the struggles that you've been through in the past there, but nowadays, I know you'll still have your struggles. There'll be long days. You're a family man, you've got a kid. You are getting pushed back from the school sometimes when you're just trying to get in there and deliver this wholesome message. Talk about the chips being down when it's not going your way. What's your why? What keeps you going day to day?
So three whys I have. Number one's why. I know there's people probably out there that want me to make it. So when they see me doing well and they see me on my Instagram promoting, doing my little thing, people probably talking about us, I know them people are never going to praise me. So when I do what I do, that's my biggest why. Like, you want me to stay at the bottom, but Brad can't stay at the bottom. He's been at the bottom too long. So I'd say that's probably one. Number two, I'd say it's why is probably my daughter. The biggest, I would say, person, like, I have to show an example that I had a life that I don't want you to have. So she does dance, gymnastics, theatre school, swimming, and I have a bar set for her. A bar set where I say to her every day, like, regardless of school to gymnastics to dance, you have to set the standard. Don't just turn up for the sake of turning up. So we conversate most times. Every morning, if I don't pick up, she'll know I'm in the gym or I'm at work. She'll leave a voicemail. Have a good day. I'm going to school now. Or if I do a competition, she'll ask me, did I win? So I said, I was close or I did win. And I have the same with her in terms of, I don't want you to turn up. just to turn up. You're here to make a difference. So I'd say my daughter has a massive influence on another reason why is why. I'd say number three is why is I believe I can make it in life. I make a difference. I make my mum proud. And that's probably the biggest one is that, yes, I've not had the best upbringing. I've gone through the system. I've made a lot of mistakes. Fell out with a lot of people that some people I wish I could sit down now and have a conversation with. But I just want to make my daughter proud, my mum proud, and the people that have believed in me, regardless if I've done right or wrong, and have stuck by me through thick and thin. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do it for you, but also do it for myself because I believe that I can get something out of life, and I've had probably not the best upbringing, and the people that probably I don't speak to now or fell out with us, I'm going to show us, listen, that was me as a kid. I'm a grown man now, and I'm going to make you proud. So that one day we sit down and have a conversation, and we can give each other a hug. I say, you know what, you made it.
Hey, that is powerful. That is powerful. Love it. Thanks for sharing and thanks for the honesty once again there, mate. Right, before we move on to the episodely questions, because success leaves clues, are you happy, Brad? I know they say success comes at a price. You've
I'm
been through a lot.
happy.
You've certainly improved. You've just talking about the journey across the last 45, 50 minutes. Would you say you're happy now, your current state?
No, I'm never happy. Like I'm happy in terms of what I'm doing now. 100%. I'm happy that I have a slight balance. I'm happy now that obviously I've got a missus who probably believes in us. Has got my back. I'm not saying that the rest didn't. 100% they did, but I have someone now that supports us. I can turn to. She's very successful in her field. It's something that I can turn to, ask her questions, pick her brain. So that aspect, yes, I'm happy, but am I happy in life? I wouldn't say so because there's a lot of things that I I need to discover. Yes, I'm in counselling; it's helping massively right now. Some things that I don't understand how it's been, and there's a lot of regret there. So I'm happy at some things. I'm my biggest critic that I don't even feel like what I'm doing now is. I don't. People say to me I'm flying. I'm doing very well, but I'd say I'm doing all right. I'm only going to be happy when I know I'm comfortable and I've made a massive difference. Right now, I'm on my journey, I'm building. The only time I'm going to be happy is probably when I make a difference. So until I'm there, I'm not really happy because it's only the beginning. So, yes, I have happy days, happy times, good times, but am I happy with where I am in life? Not really, because I believe I should have been a lot further. So, yeah, I'm my biggest critic. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not. I'm the biggest critic. I do well. I've done well.
Mm.
But I should be a lot further on in life.
I'm going to be controversial here. Do you think you can find happiness while you're still working towards your end goal? Because if we wait until the end goal, mate, as we get closer to that goal and we realize we can achieve even more, we're going to push the goal backwards. It's going to go further and further back because we're going to progress and become better and better, aren't we? If that's true, then that happiness is going to be pushed back towards the end goal, isn't it?
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
think you
happy.
can work
Listen,
towards happiness on a day to
I'm
day?
happy. I'm happy on a day to day. 100%. I'm happy on a day to day. Like I'm not gonna sit and say I'm not. Of course, I'm happy on my down days. I have a day. I have days where I'm my own worst nightmare. Days where I'm triggered. There's days where I'm annoyed. But yes, I'm happy on a day to day basis.
Mm.
100% because from where I was, say 5 years ago, where I was a total mess. I was homeless, didn't have a job, committing crime, didn't have many friends, did have friends, creating havoc, creating stress. Where I'm now, mate, that journey is one
Yeah.
hell of a journey, and I'm happy at that because I could have swung the other way. It's easy for me to swing the other way. So where I am in life, I'm 100% happy.
It's talking about in regards to achieving your goals and
Achieving
progressing. Yeah.
goals, yeah, achieving goals, 100%. I'm happy
Mm.
because my journey that I was had a lot of people around us, successful people, had a lot of people that are at the top of their game around us. They're not there now. So I look back and think, okay, that was then. I've gone to jail, come out, I've made levels, and probably I'm happy with the journey that I've done. But it's the journey finished, no chance. And so,
Yeah.
yes,
I
I'm
get that.
happy at what I've done in over 5 years because I've been out. The last time I went to jail was 5 years. I've been out of trouble for 3 years. So in that space of time, I'm happy because I've had tests. I've had people trying to put situations on us that it's easy to go back to that life, and I've said, nah, this is my journey because I look at my daughter and I look at the people that have around us, and one day these people are not going to be here, and it's about I'm on a good path now, good people around me, got my vision, got my
Hmm.
goal, and I'll just smash down doors. So in that aspect, yeah,
Nice.
I'm happy.
Yeah. No, I'd love to see it. Love to see it. Right, let's talk about these questions, mate. I speak to every guest every time, same questions, because they say success leaves clues. So the first one is talk us through your morning routine, Brad. Got any structure in
So
there?
yeah, 100% my 5 a.m. man.
Nice,
So
nice.
obviously, I know I'm at least an hour or 2 hours ahead of a lot of people. So I'll get up, get a shower, head to the gym, work on me. So I'll train for about an hour at 6 o'clock. I'm out at 7. So now I've now got a spring in my step. I'm ahead of most people. Some people are still in bed sleeping, or some people are sat there scratching their eyes, thinking what they're doing today. So now I've got a spring in my step in terms of whatever happens today, I can handle it because now I'm ready. Like, let's go, let's attack the day. So then I'll wait probably till my daughter's up. She's about 8 o'clock. She'll wake up about 8 o'clock. I'll have a chat with her. That's if I've not got a client. If I've got a client, then obviously I've got a client. So it varies, obviously, what the diary is. But
Hmm.
first and foremost, my trainer has to come first before the client. Yes, some people say it's selfish, but how can I give my best if I'm not starting my day right? So I get up, get my stuff done first, go to work, speak to my daughter. Then about 9 o'clock, I'll have breakfast. I'll eat, um, which can vary from like maybe salmon, poached eggs, avocado, or it might be an omelette, or if it might be some porridge with pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, fruit, banana in there.
Nice, nice.
So that's that. So that's probably my morning routine. To be fair, I'm quite sharp with it.
Hmm.
Training comes first for me because I need to be firing on all cylinders.
Solid. I get that. I get that. And what percentage of the time would you say you are on it? So I asked this question in regards to contributing to something worthwhile towards end goals. Does not have to be professional. It can be contributing towards your personal life, professional life, family matters, whatever it may be. But what percentage of the time are you on it? Any wasted time in there?
Yeah, because I'm not going to sit here and say you have to be honest. It's about accountability, and
Yep.
probably that's something that I've learned. I'm starting to learn more about is that majority of the time I'm on it. And this is probably why I like to be around the people that I'm around, the people that are going to push me, but also the people that I'm going to learn off. So I'll say majority of the time I'm on it. I love spending time around winners. So people like my missus, she's winning her business, so I like to be around it. Just like to vision it, get around it, pick things from it. But then also I'd say 70% of the time I'm on it. Listen, I need to win. Regardless what it is, I'm relentless. I'm going to win. But there's times I waste time. She's on my back for it and says that you can do more. There's more in you. Why are you chilling? You haven't got time to chill. So for me, if you leave me to my own devices and not be around winners, I'm gonna chill and go at my pace. But if I'm around people that I need to prove I'm about this life and I want this life, listen, I'm gonna be the most hardworking leaders in the room because I'm relentless with it.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Right. Choose three people, dead or alive, past or present. Sit down to dinner with an aid to making the rest of your life as successful as possible. Who are you three?
Okay, number one, I've got my granddad. Played a massive part in my life before he died. I love just to sit down with him, and yes, he's 100% going to tell me off. He's going to 100% put me in my place. It's someone that probably put our arm around us and say, "Keep going, keep believing." He'll dress me down, like I said a second ago, and say, "What the hell are you playing at? Like, what you doing?" Because I have things that I'm not proud of that I've done. So I'd say probably my granddad, and have a catch up because, like I said, I spent a lot of my time with my nana, obviously from my upbringing. So I was around them a lot. So yes, I'd say my granddad. him. Number two, I'd say Rio Ferdinand. Um, Massive hero of mine. I like what he's doing now. I can relate to a lot of his stuff that he's doing. And it's a sport person, something that I'm involved in, and something that probably he's doing with his podcasting. And I like what he's doing because he can relate to the young and the older people. And I reckon that I'm stronger. That what's one of my strong points, that you can still be yourself and relate to different kind of people in different areas. And you look how much respect he's got, what he's done in the game, what he's doing now. I'd probably say Rio Ferdinand, but to be fair.
Nice.
And the third one, I would. The third one would be. It would be someone like a Mourinho, a Nadal, Federer, Djokovic. Again, sport related. Just because I'd pick the mind in terms of how do you stay on top for so long? How do you keep on winning? How do you deal with setbacks and still come out on top? Where you look at people like Mourinho, people can say whatever he wants about him, but he's a winner. Been in different countries and won many trophies. Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer have all competed for years, been on top for years. And how do you stay at the top for so long and still have that friendliness about you, which obviously is mutual respect, but how do you keep winning? How do you keep going? Like the same, you can throw Usain Bolt in there as well. How do you stay at the top knowing that someone's wanting to come and beat you and take you off? So it would probably be around them, but
Yeah.
the first two are major. Like the last one doesn't really, I won't say matter, because it does matter, because it's all about growth, and that's what I want to be. Growth, consistent is a number one thing for me as well right now. But the first two, 100%, like I'd learned so much from, and yeah, that's the two.
Nice. Love it. Fantastic, mate. Right. That about wraps us up. Just before we wrap it, Brad, do you want to tell the listeners where they can find you? Social handles, etc.?
Yeah. So people can find me on Instagram, at Brad Performance Coach. My mentoring page on Instagram is Brad Mentoring Coach. So you can find me on there, and then also have a Twitter account called Results Based, where I try and put as much stuff on there. Good spirit, good little messages, good little reminders for the people that want to win in life. But then also, if you're down, here's some inspiration. So there'll be a lot of quotes, a little bit of tweets. My work will go on there. But they're my Instagrams. I do a lot of work on there. I'm due to put a post on there soon, so you'll find me there. And I'm willing to work where anybody wants to work, wants to do well in life, and also to give back to the younger generation, because I believe in every single area, regardless what you're up against right now, you can win in life. And if you need my help, reach out. Let's do some work.
Mega. Absolutely mega. And yeah, to the listeners, go and give Brad a follow, whether it's for yourself, performance, PT, whatever it may be, or whether you've got them youths in mind that could benefit from these coaching or mentoring sessions. Because as you've just seen throughout the podcast, absolutely priceless, the things that you're doing there, mate. Brad, congratulations on everything you've achieved, mate.
Thank
The way
you.
you've turned
Thank
your
you.
life around is absolutely unreal, mate. Stay on
Thank,
the mission. They say that success is a game of attrition. As you well know, doesn't happen overnight, but just imagine where we'll be in 5 years, 10 years' time. Keep doing your thing, man.
thank you. Thank you for having us on. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me the chance. Thanks for making me, people hear my voice, and hopefully I can hit some places where people are struggling and look at me for inspiration. So thank you.
I'm sure they can. Thank you, Brad. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.